So ByteFederal is one of the first Bitcoin ATM companies. They started in 2016 right here in Florida, and we assemble the ATMs in our own warehouse here in Florida. We have written all of the code that runs the machines, and we do everything to maintain the network. So it's all Florida American made, American run, and ByteFederal really has become a software development company. We have a pretty significant software team, the team that wrote the code that runs the machines, and we've also developed a merchant payment system. So we've been beta testing that, working on deploying that. We're a fully licensed MSB. So there's a lot of things happening in the U.S. Regulatorily, and unfortunately, I am at the forefront of that. So we also have a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet. It is Lightning enabled, so you can check that out. We just did a redesign and rebrand of that. Hopefully, it's working well now. So we have a whole ecosystem of tools that enable people to easily access and use their Bitcoin. And I work with a bunch of freedom-loving libertarians, people who have fled communism, and it's great. I love it. I'm really, really thankful.
One of the questions I have about ATMs in particular is, do you not have a concern? I'm not saying you should have a concern. I'm saying, is there a concern that the federal government's going to try to get rid of ATMs? I mean, they're
absolutely.
They got rid of Binance. I mean, they're getting rid of everything. It looks like to me. I see wallets disappearing. IBEX is gone out of the U.S. now. This is happening more and more. Is that a concern, and is it a real concern, I guess?
Absolutely. It's not only a real concern, I think it's actually a much more significant concern than people are aware of. There's a lot of things happening that unfortunately I'm not allowed to speak publicly about. I will say, one of the things that I learned over the past year since I took the job was the things that I learned in my government-sponsored KYC AML training. And again, there's things I can't discuss, but they're very concerning. People online are talking about, are these sort of individual cases where the samurai guys were kind of running their mouths and, oh, we don't care about Tornado Cash because it was Ethereum. And, I think it's easy, or it has been easy, to kind of write off a number of these regulatory crackdowns, but I would encourage people not to write them off and to really see it for the pattern that it is. It's really an assault on the industry. I understand completely why a lot of the companies have left. We are in the fortunate position to be fully licensed, and we believe that we're fully compliant, and so that we hope to be able to continue to provide products and services. But we're absolutely looking at diversifying geographically. So we're going to expand down to El Salvador, and we're likely going to expand over to Dubai. And, we hope that that is part of the business, and we don't have to pivot so that that's all of the business. But it's certainly a significant concern. The U.S. is absolutely after the entire industry, and it's something that Bitcoiners need to pay attention to. A lot of people like to say, oh, Bitcoin doesn't care. And I understand that. I agree categorically that Bitcoin doesn't care, and Bitcoin will survive regardless of you or the United States or your favorite product or service. But if you want ease of access, if you want to be able to get to your Bitcoin, without having a degree in computer science, then we need to save the ability for Bitcoiners in the U.S. to build.
Do you see this as something being, and I'm not trying to get you, if I ask you a question during this that you aren't supposed to answer, that's fine, just say I can't answer that. But do you see it as a attack based more on the fact that we have big companies now getting into Bitcoin? I mean, something that everybody's worried about, but all of a sudden, BlackRock, Fidelity, and banks is going through the process now, making it so banks can hold Bitcoin. All of a sudden, the people with the money are getting involved in Bitcoin, and it seems like all the attacks on the Bitcoin existing infrastructure are happening more than before. Do you think that's there's 2 + 2 there equaling 4? I guess basically that has something to do with it.
I think that they're related. The relationship that I see is that they're attacking everything that they don't want to exist. So the really great pieces of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ecosystem that we all champion and love, those are the things they're going after. And what they want, what I believe their end goal is just to have all Bitcoin KYC'd, subject to their AML restrictions, and also to just have qualified custodians. So they've allowed the large participants to come in, and this enables them to say, well, we're not banning Bitcoin. You can buy the ETF, or you can buy your Bitcoin on Coinbase and keep it there. I'm not a fan of Coinbase, obviously, but it's a great example. I think their goal is to have absolute and complete transparency, and ultimately to have control by ensuring that Americans are only able, short of things that they deem not legal, ways around. Of course, there's always going to be technical ways around the things they don't want you to do, right? But they just want everyone to hold their Bitcoin with a qualified custodian. And what you see is them cracking down on the tools that make it easier for people to be doing something other than that. In other words, having their own keys, having any type of privacy. We're not there yet where they've cracked down on your own keys, but I believe that they're coming for it. And if they're not stopped, that it's very likely to happen.
So I don't understand how that would fall into play for... I don't understand how that would even pull into play, because the world's a big place. I know sometimes it seems like a small place, but how are you going to go to El Salvador and tell everybody down there they can't control their own keys?
Well, they're not. I'm talking about American citizens, so from and certainly they've already driven a lot of companies and people, smart, talented people. They've driven them out of the U.S. They've driven them away from doing business in the U.S. and from providing their services. Phoenix Wallet, for example, was a great wallet. We saw Wallet of Satoshi leave first, and then and everyone kind of said, oh, use Phoenix. Phoenix is great. Well, now Phoenix has left. So really, I'm talking about the U.S. I think we are seeing regulation come in other countries, and we're also seeing other countries at the opposite end of the spectrum where they're embracing Bitcoin. And I believe on a long enough time frame, we're really going to see a total realignment geopolitically, and that one of the primary drivers of that is going to have been whether a country adopted and embraced Bitcoin or regulated it into oblivion and tried to tell its citizens, that they can't have access or that their access is limited.
Well, haven't we seen limited access from China with their citizens? And that didn't seem to do too much damage to Bitcoin. Actually, I think Bitcoin grew.
Right, but it's damaging to people who are citizens of China, right? And who can't leave. And I don't want we're comparing American citizens and their ability to access the Bitcoin network to the limitations put on Chinese citizens, right? So even the fact that we're making that comparison should be alarming to people. So no, Bitcoin doesn't care, but I care about Bitcoiners, and a lot of them are American citizens. And so they can label us criminals, but I don't think that most of us want to go to jail for interacting with the Bitcoin network.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.